Hey you guys, I'm Jack Ruston. Welcome to Ruston's Boneyard. Today we're going to make pork belly buns. They're going to have a beautiful Asian style pickle with them. They're going to be low carb, they're going to be delicious. Let's do it. So here we've got a piece of pork belly. We want to just make sure that there are no little rib pieces left on the bottom, any bits of gristle or anything on there. And what we're going to do is just cut it into some reasonably generously sized cubes. We're going to be boiling these down in water initially. And you might wonder, why season the pork and not the water? Well, I want to see the salt on the pork and go, yeah, you know, I'm seasoning about the right amount. If I season the water, I might do too much or too little. That's why I'm doing it on the board here. And I want to be pretty generous with this. As always with, you know, pork, it likes salt, it likes that kind of extra bit of salty umami enhancement. So this lot now into a saucepan of simmering water. Now what we can see as this comes to the boil is that there are all these impurities here that are just coming off the pork, and we can just skim those with a spoon. So I'm just going to let this simmer away for around an hour now. Okay, here we go. So this has been simmering away for about an hour, and about half the water's gone, and we can see that the pork is what I like to call jiggly. It's sort of wobbling. What I'm going to do is take a non-stick pan now, and we're going to just pour all of this into here, and we're going to put this now back on high heat. Try not to spill it all over the place. I'm going to put this back on high heat, and we're going to reduce it. We're going to boil it dry, basically. And what's going to happen is that all of the fats that are now rendered into this water are going to fry the pork for us. So while that's just boiling down on the hob over there, let's make a little pickle to go with this, a kind of Asian style pickle. And I've got some cucumber here. I'm going to take the skin off. The first thing to do, as I've done here, is just to cut it into a kind of manageable size chunk, and then we just work around it, removing that skin. Now we're going to remove the solid part of the cucumber, leaving the seeds in the middle. So we just go round it again like this and just get these sections. The seeds we don't want, chuck them. Now with these bits of cucumber, we're going to just cut them into thin matchsticks. So I might need to go halfway through the middle of some of them, and then just finely chop across. Now if you've got a mandolin, you can definitely use that to achieve the same thing. I find with my mandolin that the moment I get it out, I cut myself. Now onto that cucumber, I'm going to put a good sprinkling of salt, and what that's going to do is just draw some water out of it. Now, same thing, carrot. These are just peeled carrots. I'm going to go halfway through. Be really careful when you're doing this, because what carrots tend to do when you try and slice through them is they roll on the board, and the knife slips off and ends up removing part of your finger. So again, I'm just going to do these little julienne matchsticks. Shallot, same thing, shallots as you call them in America. So just take the tip off, then we cut sideways, outer layers off. So very fine half rounds. Fresh ginger, same thing, julienne, all of these. So I'm going to just slice the outside off, very thin, long slices, and then I can stack those to julienne them together as a little stack like this. Now, what we can hear from the pork is that it's starting to spit. And this is what it's going to do, because it's partly wet and now it's starting to fry. Let's do some fresh red chilli, and what I'm going to do is just do this in very thin slices. We're going to add some rice vinegar, about maybe a quarter cup into there, and about a tablespoon of honey. Now this is raw honey. If you're low carb, don't worry, the amount of this you're going to get is tiny. tiny. It's not going to be a significant amount of honey. So let's just mix all this through. I'm just going to do it with my hands actually. Now we can hear the pork rendering out and starting to spit. Let's go and sort it out. Now as this pork begins to fry in its own fat, you're going to find it sort of adhering to the pan, and this is why we've transferred to a non-stick pan. I'm just going to chuck a couple of cloves of garlic in, just peeled them and pop them in. They're just going to infuse a bit of flavour through the pork now. Now, take a lid and just hold it in front. You can reduce the heat a bit maybe, but just keep it in front because it will spatter at you. Keep turning these, keep looking for bits that are pale. You can see that some of it's starting to get this beautiful, beautiful colour on it now. See, the wonderful thing about boiling this pork before we fry it down is that it's just so soft. The fats are all kind of broken down and rendered already. It's going to be kind of chewy, sticky, fatty, juicy, all at once. Amazing. You can kind of see when I move this, a lot of it's really hanging together. It's sticking to itself. It's all the collagen in this pork that's just, as I lift it up, you can see this gluey collagen that's just coming off here. It's wonderful. You can just imagine when people first discovered fire, and they first took something pretty unappetizing like a piece of pork belly and put it into fire and got this kind of thing, they must have just had their minds blown. They must have thought, holy shitballs, this is great. We need more of this. Now, this is starting to get very, very close to done. I don't want to take it too far. I don't want to just turn it into totally crisp, kind of dried out crust. Yeah, I'm going to turn it off and just let it finish up in its own heat. Okay, so this is beautiful pork. It's just cooling down now. We're just going to make a protein sparing bread, and if you follow my channel, you've probably seen me do this a number of times. We're just going to separate 4 eggs. You just want the whites for this recipe. We've got our 4 egg whites. We're just going to whisk to very stiff peaks. Very stiff peaks. Don't under whisk at this point. You know, that first stage you want to do high power. You know, for as long as possible, really get them stiff. Then a good pinch of salt, and this is about 15 to 20 grams of egg white powder. It's more or less a tablespoon. What it's going to do is it's going to dry out the mixture a little bit. So when we now incorporate this, we're just going to use a very low power and just mix only for as long as it takes to incorporate that. Don't over whisk at this stage. Now we're just going to shape these in the way that we want them to ultimately end up. That's basically how this works. It doesn't change all that much. It's just going to bake in the shape that we make it. Now these go into the oven. They're going to take about 10 minutes, I'd say, in this 180 degrees centigrade, 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven. Okie dokie, so here we are, look. Beautiful protein sparing rolls. Now to finish this off, I'm just gonna very finely chop some coriander, cilantro. Take one of our rolls, this looks like a good one. Slice carefully down the middle. And then we're gonna pop our pork in. And look at this, it's just so kind of sticky and crunchy and meaty and gluey and everything. It's got so many good things about it. The crackling is crisp, but the middle is soft and delicious. There we go, let's pop another tiny bit in there. And then all we need to do is just a little scattering of that cilantro, coriander, and a little spoon of our pickle. Now we can pop a little bit of lettuce into there and then lid on. And there it is, look, our pork belly bun. So I challenge you to make it. challenge you to take a picture, stick it on Instagram, tag me at Rustin's Boneyard. Love to get to know you, love to see what you're up to. Keep cooking.